Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Maharaj, if I may.
Please.
An unneeded introduction.
Whatever you want to do will be right.
It gives me great joy to welcome His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and His Grace saṅkīrtana Dasa Adhikari. I gave a preemptive introduction before you came, just so we could raise our consciousness to the occasion, which is a rare occasion and the most important occasion, and that is to greet the Vaishnavas who are fully dedicated to the mission of spreading saṅkīrtana all over the world. His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj is one of the early joiners of the saṅkīrtana movement and has done legendary and generational service for the saṅkīrtana movement. His literary work and his preaching around the world has set the tone for what Devamrita Swami had once said, Prabhupada said about Jayadvaita Maharaj, which is Jayadvaita means parampara. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for also His Grace saṅkīrtana Dasa Adhikari Prabhu, who's one of the most prolific preachers in our movement, started the Ultimate Self-Realization course and has thousands of followers around the world. He constantly circles the globe and brings the teachings of Krishna consciousness to people in every country in a way that is inspiring and is easily practicable. So thank you very much, saṅkīrtana Prabhu, for being here. We're deeply grateful to have you here at ISV. Please welcome you. Hare Krishna. Just mention that Chandrasekhar Prabhu, who's newly introduced to the Krishna consciousness movement within the last several years, who's traveling with them and is one of the up-and-coming great book distributors in our movement. Everyone, please, all the book distributors here, please give him blessings. He's looking forward to a lifetime of distributing Prabhupada's books and serving the devotees. Hare Krishna. And back to you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarane. Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When Śrīla Prabhupāda came to America on the Jayadvaita on September 13th, 1965, he wrote, "Today I have disclosed my mind to my companion, Lord Sri Krishna. There's a Bengali poem made by me in this connection." So this Actually, when I was in Los Angeles with the BBT, there was some trunk of Śrīla Prabhupāda's that somehow was found or opened, and several things were found there, but two things were found there really. The Prabhupada's handwritten version of these two songs, Markandeya Bhagavata Dharma and this prayer to the lotus feet of Krishna. So Radha Vallabha Prabhu and I, he was the production manager at BBT, went up to Prabhupada's room and brought him these manuscripts, these papers. And Prabhupada was pleased. He said, "Oh, where did you get that?" And we said it was in this trunk. He said, "Was there some scroll, rolled up paper?" We said, "No, Srila Prabhupada." "What was that?" Prabhupada said, "Oh, that was my horoscope." But that wasn't there. But then, looking at those papers, Prabhupada began to explain the two songs. And I hadn't brought a tape recorder, so I was sort of like squirming. Prabhupada, could I get this recorder? And Prabhupada wasn't interested in recording anything, he was just speaking. So he explained these two songs. And of course, because I didn't record his explanation, there's not much that I remember. But these two songs he later directed should be added to the BBT songbook, Songs of the Vaishnavacharyas, and he said that they could be chanted just like the songs of the Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur. So I thought I'd speak on maybe the song that's less discussed, this prayer to the lotus feet of Krishna. And we had someone who can sing, yes? Okay, because my voice is shot and it was never great to begin with.
Krishna tava punya habe bhai, Krishna tava punya habe bhai, Krishna tava punya habe bhai, Krishna tava punya habe bhai.
I don't know very much, but I know a little something, so that's why I came here to get Vaisesika Prabhu's association. So this is a deeply significant song. And it deserves to be sung and discussed also. So we'll, to the small extent that I understand something, I'll try to speak, and maybe others will add more. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. Historically, this line was mistranslated when originally published by the BBT. Bhai was taken to mean, it was put parenthetically, my dear brother, my dear mind. But there's not really a basis for that. And later, that was corrected. Krishna, the prayer is addressed to Krishna. Bhai, my dear brother, Krishna. Tava punya habe bhai. Punya means piety or good fortune. E punya koribe jabe radharani kushi habe. Dhruvati boli tomatai. Dhruva very emphatically. Dhruva for sure. Ati boli, very emphatically I say. E punya koribe jabe radharani kushi habe. When kushi means happy, pleased, it's a very nice word. I don't know exactly what's the best translation for it. Prabhupada might, well, I'm not quite sure. But kushi means pleased. Yes, when everything's going nicely. And sab kushal hai. So, kushi. And Srimati Radharani is kushi, when she's pleased. E punya koribe jabe. Then good fortune will be there. Or it's the other way. I'm not a Bengali expert. Either when you perform this punya, then Radharani will be pleased, or this is what the punya will be. When Radharani is pleased, then the punya is there. Any Bengali speakers here to help me out?
I speak Bengali, Maharaj, but I still can't get the whole sense of that. Like, what will Krishna do to make Radharani happy? Microphone. I speak Bengali, Maharaj, but somehow I can't get the whole sense of that verse which is there.
Yeah. Once I was sitting with Śrīla Prabhupāda and some BBT editors, and Prabhupada said that my Guru Maharaj used to speak from the highest elevated platform. Even when he would speak in Bengali, I could not understand. So you're also in the parampara. To understand the deep imports of this song will take a long time, or may take a long time. But let us move on. Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Priya-ati. Krishna Sebai Jar Tulanai. Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Sachisutta Priya-ati. He's exceedingly dear to Sachisutta, the Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, son of Sachi Devi. Śrīla Siddhanta Sarasvatī Sachisutta Priya-ati. Krishna Sebai Jar Tulanai. In devotional service to Krishna, he has no equal. Tula means equal. Krishna Sebai Jar Tulanai. She Mahanta Guru Jagater Madhe Uru. Krishna Bhakti De Tai Tai. He's the Mahanta Guru, great spiritual master, who's spreading intense devotional service. Uru means Urugai, Urukram. So intense devotional service, Jagater Madhye, throughout the world, the universe, the Jagat, the world. Tai Tai. Krishna Bhakti De Tai Tai. He's giving devotional service here and there and everywhere. Giving, yes, as it said, Panchatattva indiscriminately gave devotional service. So, Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura giving devotional service everywhere. Tar Ichcha Balavan. Ichcha means desire. Tar Ichcha Balavan. Balavan means powerful. His desire is very powerful. Just his desire. Paschachete tan, paschachete tan, hoi jate gorangeranam. Just by his desire, the Gorangeranam, the name of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, will go everywhere. Prabhupada's just by himself on a cargo ship, but he has this enormous confidence or conviction that by the powerful desire of his Guru Maharaj, the holy name of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu will go everywhere. And he's envisioning it. Pritiviti nagaradi asamudra nadi nadi. Shakale loy krishna nam. On the Pritivite, on the surface of the earth, throughout the world. Nagaradi, what is that? Pritivite yatache nagaradi gram. Sarvatra Pachar Hoibe Mornam. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu said that throughout the world, in every village and town, my name will be sung. And here Śrīla Prabhupāda is echoing that, or yes, that by the desire of Caitanya Mahāprabhu predicted it, and Śrīla Prabhupada said that it will happen by the strong desire of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. Nagaradi, from village to village, town to town, asamudra, up to the extent of the oceans, nada nadi, to all the rivers and streams. That means everywhere. Shakale, everyone. Loy Krishna, everyone will take to the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Tahale ananda hoy, tabe hoy, digbijoy, Chaitanya kripa atishay. There'll be then there'll be anand, great bliss, and the Chaitanya kripa atishoy, again that ati, there'll be such mercy of Caitanya Mahāprabhu, abundant mercy of Caitanya Mahāprabhu, taking over the whole world. Digvijay, conquering all directions. So taking over the whole world, there'll be the bliss of Harinam saṅkīrtana. Tahale anando hoy, tabe hoy, digvijay, Chaitanya kripa atishoy. Maya dushta jata dukhi, jagate shabai shuki. The conditioned souls in this material world are dukkhi, miserable, unhappy. Maya dushta, because they're polluted. Dushta means polluted, spoiled. Maya dushti, dushta. all the miserable conditioned souls are under the influence of Maya, and their lives are being spoiled. But Jagate Shabai Shuki, they can all become happy. Maya Dushta Jata Duki Jagate Shabai. As many miserable souls as there are in this material world, they can all become happy. Or not can, will. They will become happy. Vaishnavera Ichcha Purnahoy. And then the desire of the Vaishnavas will be fulfilled. The Vaishnavas are desiring that others should be happy. They feel unhappy to see others unhappy, and they want everyone to become Krishna conscious and happy through the saṅkīrtana movement of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So Vaishnavera Ichcha Purnahoy. Their desire will be fulfilled. She karja jay koribade agya jodi dilo more. Yogya nahi an dinahin. Not an ati dinahin. Typo. You gave me that work to do. You gave me agya dila. Agya means an order. You gave me that order. Whatever you've learned from me, try to spread that in English. You gave me that order, that work to do. But yoga means fit. Yoga nahi. I'm not fit for this work. Why ati dinhin? I'm very, very fallen. Dina hina yatachila. I'm fallen. But taishe tamar kripa magitechi anurupa ajitu tumi sabar prabhin. But by your mercy it may be possible. There's another issue here, magatechi in the transliteration, and jagatechi in the jagatechi in the word for word. I don't know which is right. Do you know?
Did you ask about Magitechi?
Yeah, it says magatechi in the transliteration, and jagatechi in the.
It should be Magitechi because I'm asking for it, yeah.
Ah.
That's what I understand.
Okay, asking for it. So if you please give your mercy, then it becomes possible. So praying to Krishna, at least according to the, yes, praying to Krishna that you're the praveen. Praveen means expert. You're very expert. And now, today, by your mercy, Tomar Kripa, Anurupa, then according to your desire it may happen, or according to the desire of my Guru Maharaj, it may happen. Not like the materialists, that I have confidence, I've trained for this, I'm ready for it, I can do it if I just think positively. No, it's that I'm unfit for the task, yogya nahi, and atidinhin. I don't have any qualification, very fallen. But Tomar Kripa, by your mercy, then it may be possible. You're so expert that then it can happen. It's not impossible. Impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. So it's possible. An elderly sannyasi on a boat with a few rupees and some chunks of books. But he's envisioning that the whole world can become happy in Krishna consciousness by the mercy of Krishna. Tomar she shakti pele guru se by bashtu mile jiban sartak jadi hoy. This is very significant. We want to attain success in Krishna consciousness. We want to realize the essence of devotional service. We want to realize the essence of we want to realize our relationship with Krishna. We want to obtain the ultimate substance. Vejam vastavam atru vastu shivanam. So how will it be possible? Sometimes we think that if I read the right books, not the ones I'm reading now, but the advanced ones, then it may become possible. If I go to Radha Kund and bathe in the holy waters, then it may be possible. There are various ideas of how to come from our present neophyte position up to the highest position. That aspiration is there. We want to achieve the success in Krishna consciousness. So here's Śrīla Prabhupāda's expression of how that becomes possible. Tomar Shakti Pele, Tomar She Shakti Pele, Guru She Bhai Bashtu Mile. If one gets Krishna's mercy, then one can achieve the ultimate substance, one can realize the ultimate substance, Guru Shebai, by serving the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master. That very deep realization is expressed here. That, as Prabhupada said, he read that in the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Ṭhākura, that one should make the order of the spiritual master one's life and soul. So, this is Prabhupada's expression of how one can achieve the ultimate substance. Guru Seva, by the mercy of Krishna, and by the mercy of Krishna, one can meet a bona fide spiritual master, and by serving the bona fide spiritual master, one can achieve the association of Krishna. Jivan sartak jadi hoy, and then one's life becomes completely successful, fulfilled. Sheva paile tahale shuki hole. By that service, one attains Krishna. And she shubi paile, sheva paile tahale shuki hole. By that service to the spiritual master, one becomes happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata bhagavat tattvam vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. And tabashanga bhagyate miloy. And by great good fortune, one achieves tabashanga, the association of Krishna. Now we're associated with material energy, with all the lower qualities of material nature. But by serving the bona fide spiritual master, one can achieve the association of Krishna. And Krishna prapti hoy, what is that? Jaha hoite. Then Śrīla Prabhupāda inserts a verse spoken by Prahlāda Mahārāja. The verse is also a integral element of the song. Sometimes in art you'll see, in paintings, you'll see that the artist incorporates something, some object from the world, or something from a different genre is just brought in and included in the artwork. So Śrīla Prabhupāda, it's a crude example, but he's included this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam as an integral part of his prayer to Krishna. Evam janam nipatitam prabhava hikupe kama bikama manuya prapatan prasangad kritvatmasat surashina bhagavan grihita soham katam nu visrije tava britya sevam. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant, Nard Muni, kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? Well, the verse can be taken as a proof text for what Prabhupada is saying, or it can be taken as an amplification of what Śrīla Prabhupada is saying. And he inserts it just at this point, the emphasizing the full effectiveness of serving the lotus feet of the spiritual master, how all success and all happiness will follow by service. And there's much more that could be said about that verse, but then time will be long. Tumi mor chira shati bhuliya mayar lati kayachi janma janmanture. Tumi mor chira sati. I'm your old friend. Sati is a companion. Sat means together. Sat sat. So a sati is a companion. So Prabhupada says, I'm your old friend. Or in the word for word, it's given here, your perpetual companion. But Chira is old, right? Like since a long time. From time immemorial. So I'm your old friend. But Bhuliya Mayar Lati, forgetting you, I'm being kicked by Maya. Lati is given here as kick. Is it a kick or is it like a lati
Cane,
charge?
like
A lati charge, right? Yeah. Lati is a lance, or it's a weapon. So during the British Raj, when the independence movement was there, then they had to face lati charges from the British military. So, forgetting you, I'm being beaten by this lati of Maya. Kayachi janmanture. And I'm suffering. Birth after birth, I'm suffering because of forgetting you. But aji puna e sujog, jadi hoy joga jog, tabe bhari tuhe mili bhari. But today, if this opportunity is there, yadi hoy, if this suyoga, very nice opportunity is there, then I'll be able to meet you and get your association again. Tomar milone bhai abar she shukha pai gocharane guri din bor gato bane chuta chuti bane kai luta puti. She din kabi habimor. You don't have to know Bengali to appreciate the sweetness of the language here. I guess you do have to know Bengali, but even if you don't. One time I was with Śrīla Prabhupāda in Brooklyn, and Vishnu Jan Maharaj, a wonderful godbrother, had been saying something that I wasn't quite sure was right. And I don't exactly remember what he was saying, but it didn't seem quite right. So I thought I'd ask Śrīla Prabhupāda about it. It had to do with, what is that in Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada quotes? No. There's a verse about Siddha Sadhaka Rupena Chatri. The devotee externally acts with his material body, but internally he's serving Krishna in his own eternal spiritual form. And Vishnujan Maharaj had been saying something that would have been answered by that verse, I think, but none of us knew that verse. Anyway, it was some confusing question, and the substance of the question doesn't really matter, as you'll see. So I went to Śrīla Prabhupāda, and by way of asking the question, I started by saying, Śrīla Prabhupāda, in Grhavastakam it said, let's see. What is that verse? Yes, Nikunja Yuno Ratikeli Svidhai Yayali Bijikti. And Prabhupada cut me off and said, that's if he's in that relationship. If he's in that rasa relationship. I forget exactly how but he cut me off. I think my speculation in hindsight is that he must have been asked more than once. It says Nikunjayuno Ratikeli Svidhai, but what if the spiritual master is not in that relationship, if he's in a different relationship? So Prabhupada, when I brought up Nikunjayuno Ratikeli Svidhai, Prabhupada said, that's if he's in that relationship. So, and I was a little, what's the word? Intimidated, that's the word. I was intimidated by Śrīla Prabhupāda, and if he said that and that was the answer to the question, well, that was the answer to the question. So I didn't pursue my original question any further, but I think it was an important answer. The question wasn't so important, but the answer is important. Tomara milane bhai, abar she shuki pai, go charane guri din bhor. Kotta bane chutta chutti, bane kai luta putti, she din kabe habe more. Oh dear friend, in your company, I will experience great joy once again. In the early morning, I will wander about the cowherd pastures and fields, running and frolicking in the many forests of Braja. I will roll on the ground in spiritual ecstasy. Shedin kabe habimor. Oh, when will that day be mine? Aji she shubhitane tomar smarana bhelo, baro asha dakilan tai. Today, that remembrance of you came to me in a very nice way. Ami tomar nitya das. Because I have a great longing, I called to you. Baro asha dakilantai. Ami tomar nitya das. Tai kori etas. Tumi bina anya goti nai. Ami tomar nitya das. I'm your eternal servant. And tai kori etash. And therefore, I desire your association so much. Tumi bina anya goti nai. But for you, there's no other gati, no other refuge, no other destination, nowhere else to go. Toma bina anya gati nai. And there, Śrīla Prabhupāda ends the song. But Vaisesika Prabhu, would you like to say something, or saṅkīrtana, or others?
Thank you for bringing this before us, Maharaj. We'll mark your visit here by regularly singing this song now. I always find that the bhajans that we're able to sing together come to us unsought, generally through a Vaishnav who's relishing the mode of that bhajan and then brings it to us. And I feel like that's happened now, don't you all? And so we'll be able to perpetuate your visit here by continuing to remember your relationship with Prabhupada and singing this bhajan. And I was interested in how we might cultivate the mood you emphasized. It's not by our supposed expertise in anything or our positive thinking, but by the descending mercy that comes by rigidly adhering to the orders of the spiritual master. If you could elaborate that point and give any advice to us of how we might attain success through that principle, as we're interested in doing individually and collectively in spreading the saṅkīrtana movement, we'd be deeply grateful.
Spreading the saṅkīrtana movement, there's the answers in the question. Yes, that Prabhupada, he said that was the desire of his spiritual master, that the Holy Name of Kṛṣṇa be distributed all over the world. It was the desire of Caitanya Mahāprabhu. It was the desire of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. It's the desire of Śrīla Prabhupāda. It's the desire of your spiritual master, that the glories of Krishna be spread all over the world. The glories of the holy name, the name of Krishna, the message. Name means name, form, qualities, pastimes, everything. There's no difference. The saṅkīrtana movement should spread all over the world. And Prabhupada said he learned everything from his spiritual master, from his father, actually, he said. He learned everything, how to chant Hare Krishna, how to perform the Ratha Yatra, how to offer to Krishna. He said, but this This I learned from my spiritual master, books, to distribute books, the importance of distributing books. He said, this I learned. Everything else, it was already there from my father. But this I learned from my Guru Maharaj, that he had a great desire to distribute books. If you ever get money, just print books. And we saw how Prabhupada gave such importance to that. So that's a specific and a very important specific. But whatever the service given to me may be by my spiritual master, he told me to worship the deity, or he told me to chant more rounds, or he told me to cook something, or he told me to teach something. So whatever order I may have received, or even if I haven't received a particular order, I can understand what his desire was, what desire he expressed. Well, let me do that wholeheartedly. Otherwise, what is the use of my life? Everything else will be finished. I'll get a certain quota of sense gratification in my life. I'll eat a certain number of pizzas. I'll get a certain number of whatevers. But at the end, that will all be of no importance. What clothes and what enjoyment, what house I got to live in, and what car I got to drive, what computer I got to use, what headlines appeared about me in Dandavats.com. That will all be finished. But if we're able to serve the spiritual master, that's serve his desire, his instruction. That stays with us eternally, or that enables us to stay with him eternally. So that should be our treasure. That should be our treasure, the words, the desires, the instructions, the mission of the spiritual master. And that's, in that verse, that's so important, that Krishna Sebai Bastu Mile. If Krishna gives his Tomar She Shakti Pele, Guru Sebai Bastu Mile. If we just pick up that one understanding, that by Krishna's, what do we want from Krishna? Please give me the strength, the inspiration, the determination to serve my spiritual master. Then everything will be there. Is that okay?
Maharaj, better than okay. And just wondering, in continuance of the thought, it caught my ear that you had alluded to a principle of being patient, by way of saying, one might think, if I read some other books or go to bathe in Radhakund, not to say that those things aren't possible. You weren't saying that, I don't think, but you were indicating a detail of how to follow the spiritual master, and maybe it goes to patience and waiting for the descending mercy. Could you elaborate on that particular nuance in your talk about where you alluded to reading other books, going to Radhakund.
Patience and enthusiasm. It's not that we just sort of do some work and we're patient but we're enthusiastic and nishchay. We have confidence. This is not some karma that we're doing. Prabhupada saw that we didn't have, we needed to be engaged, and so he gave us some old work to do. And until we become Krishna conscious and learn how to really dive into Vaishnava Siddhanta and Vaishnav and Krishna Bhakti Ras, until we get to that point, he gave us some busy work, distribute books, chant, go out on saṅkīrtana and start temples, worship the deity, until, at least that'll keep us busy until we're ready for the... No. This is how you achieve that perfection. This is how you get it. And we see Prabhupada's example. That's what he did. He took his spiritual master's order. He made it his life and soul. And he did it. Yes? Is that a question or yes?
Thank you for an amazing class, Maharaj. My question is, when you get an instruction, a specific instruction from your Guru Maharaj, but when things are tough, even in
when you get a specific instruction from your Guru Maharaj, then...
Yes, but things are tough.
And things are tough.
Yes, and say, Śrīla Prabhupāda got an instruction, and when he came to the US for 2 years, nothing really worked. And everything he tried was failing. What kept him going? What was the reason for his perseverance?
What kept him going? Well, of course, I'm a bystander, an onlooker. I'm not... I don't have inside knowledge. But here Prabhupada's indicating this is what's keeping him going. Tar Ichcha Balavan. Your desire is so powerful. Once His Holiness Bhakti Charamar said to Śrīla Prabhupāda that Śrīla Prabhupāda, I wish I could have been with you in those early days in New York to serve you when you were all alone. Prabhupada said, I was never alone. So my Guru Maharaj was always with me. That's the dedication to Srimad Bhagavatam, that my spiritual master is always present by his divine instructions. He lives forever. And the follower lives with him. There's unlimited strength, mercy, everything in the order of the spiritual master. Why would we want to make something else our heart and soul? What will we get from it? But if we make the order of the spiritual master our heart and soul, then everything is there. Did you want to add something, saṅkīrtana Prabhu?
One thing that really inspires me about this is that we hear, Priti Vitti Acayata, in every town and village my name will be known. But that can mean every town and village, some people will be Krishna conscious, but not necessarily everyone. But here it says everyone will chant the holy name. That means every single person. Everyone will be chanting it. Not on every village, but every person in every village will be chanting.
Shakale loy Krishna nam. We have that godbrother. Who's that godbrother? Who asks everyone to chant Hare Krishna. We have a godbrother, and wherever he goes, he asks everyone to chant Hare Krishna. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Sarva?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Well, many have noticed. I mean, if you're at an intersection and the window's open, the person in the car next to you is going to get that.
And he'll go through a toll, and he'll ask the toll keeper. He'll say that it's my job today to ask everyone to say Hare Krishna. Can you say Hare Krishna? And so often people will say Hare Krishna. And if the person is super obstinate and no way. So still he's happy because he knows that as he's driving on past the toll, that person is thinking, he didn't get me to chant Hare Krishna. Thank you. Tell me what to do. Do we stop here, take another question? Or?
There's no stopping.
There's no stopping. Okay. Yes.
What are the qualities we can develop as disciples to increase our service attitude to our spiritual master?
What are the qualities that one should develop to increase one's service attitude toward the spiritual master? One thing we see here is that humility. Ami ati dinhin. I've gotten this instruction, but I'm so unqualified. That we see that in Prabhupada's other song. He signs it the most insignificant beggar. So if we're highly qualified in our own estimation, then that's what we'll have to go on, is our own great qualifications. But if we think that we're not qualified, that we're ayogya, unfit, then we have to depend on mercy received from Krishna and the spiritual master. That will help us. That's finally what we require. Then you see incredible determination, confidence. Everything is there, time is only separating us. Confidence, determination, enthusiasm, everything. Is that right?
Maharaj, can you describe the atmosphere, environment, and any feelings that you have? And remember, being in Prabhupada's presence in the midst of the great marathon he was on to produce books even to the very last minute and to see them distributed.
That's a tall order. There were two things. His eagerness to see books distributed. I think you know that in Prabhupada's last days, he handed everything over. You deal with it. You deal with it. You deal with it. Letters and issues and things to be done, and ISKCON this and ISKCON that, and whatever it was. You're the GBC. You deal with it. He, from one point of view, he was handing things over, and intelligent succession plan. From another point of view, he was in his last days. In your last days, you don't want to deal with this, that, and the other thing. But when there was news of book distribution, this is giving me life, that he was eager to hear. This is giving me life. Very noteworthy. This is giving me life. I'm trying to remember, like, don't stop. This is giving me life, otherwise and he was appreciating, I'm just a pile of bones here, but this is going on. Books are going out. So that was his satisfaction, and to see books coming, and devotees knew it. So Harikesh came from Eastern Europe with a big pile of newly translated books. Rameshwar came from Los Angeles, new books, because we knew that this was pleasing to Prabhupada. He was as he said about his spiritual master, he was very enthusiastic about books. So that was there. And as for his translating, that was, I'm trying to find the right words for it. It was miraculous, certainly. Just the Kaviraj, the Ayurvedic doctor, said that a person in Prabhupada's circumstances in those days, an ordinary person would be screaming. And Prabhupada was composed, Prabhupada was grave. And Prabhupada was translating in such a circumstance that, well, you've seen the picture of Prabhupada sitting, and he has his dictaphone, and he's clicking, and he's translating, and he looks at the book, and he translates. And now there's a completely different circumstance, that Prabhupada couldn't move from his bed. He couldn't read the books. He could, his voice was very soft. But still he was determined that it was, of course we've seen the picture, we have one picture, and I think there's well, yes, we have that video done by Jayadvaita Prabhu, Prabhupada's translating, but there were several days when Prabhupada was translating like that. He was engaging Pradyumna Prabhu, our godbrother, Sanskrit, scholar. And Pradyumna would study the next verse with the Acharya commentaries. And he would read to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Sometimes he would read the Sanskrit verse, Prabhupada would translate, or Pradyumna would translate, and then Pradyumna would read some commentary in Sanskrit. Prabhupada would, if he desired, would comment. And it was wonderful to see how Śrīla Prabhupada in such circumstances could be doing that. How he could be even, if I get a little, what's the word? If I get a little headache or something, then I don't want to read. I don't feel like reading because it's too much trouble. And here's Prabhupada in these circumstances. He hasn't eaten. He's deteriorating physically down to nothing, and still his mind is sharp. And he's translating this 14th, I think, chapter of Krishna's pastimes. And you could almost feel, what would you say? You could, if somebody said that they'd seen the demigods, in the corners of the room watching, you wouldn't dispute them. It was on that level of service. What was that word? Let's see. Prabhupada uses that word, Uru. Mahanta Guru, then Jagatari, but yes. Let's see. Yes, it's the second verse, isn't it? Yes. That She Mahanta Guru. There it is, I think. Yes. Intense devotional service. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Prabhupada comments, it's like the powerful rays of the sun. So Prabhupada was translating in that way up to the very end, going on like that. And those last verses were a collaboration they were a collaboration between, first of all, Pradyumna and Śrīla Prabhupāda. Prabhupada was engaging with Pradyumna. The work would have to go on. And Prabhupada was working with Pradyumna to complete this chapter. And it was also, Prabhupada would call for questions. Because there'd be other devotees, you've seen, there are other devotees in the room. And Prabhupada asks, is everything clear? Are there any questions? And sometimes devotees would ask Prabhupada a question. And you don't see it, but they're stitched into the purports. You don't see the collaboration either. You don't see Pradumna. It's not done dialogue style, but it's all stitched together. It's Prabhupada, it's Pradumna, it's the commentaries of the acharyas, it's the questions by the devotees, and Śrīla Prabhupāda's answers. All of those things are included in those last purports. I don't know that I had much in the way of realizations at the time. I think I was just trying to, I was concerned with things like how to get the microphone close enough without, like, what's the word? Falling on top of Śrīla Prabhupada. One time he was translating, he had me get under his mosquito net with him, and I was holding the microphone. It had to be so close because his voice was so faint. So I think I was, I don't think I had great realizations. I was focused on how to hold the microphone and not mess up.
Marsh, can you say something about Prabhupada's emphasis on reading his books and your experience of reading Prabhupada's books, or advice you could give us as a community about the importance of reading Prabhupada's books?
Well, there's a 2-week seminar. Sometimes that was Prabhupada's complaint, that they're not reading my books, that I'm going through so much endeavor, and they're for you, that we want to distribute them everywhere, but then when someone takes to it, it's not that, okay, now I joined, the books don't matter anymore, or as Prabhupada said, I don't read them, I just distribute them, I just sell them. But it's so important for us to read them, and when there was some discrepancy, sometimes Prabhupada would say, that means they're not reading my books. So many questions are already answered, so many doubts, so many problems are already solved, but if we don't read the books, then the solution is at hand, but only at hand. Prabhupada in Caitanya Mahāprabhu, Kaviraj Goswami gives that story of the man who went to the astrologer, and the astrologer said, yes, there's a treasure, it's on your own property. You just have to dig on the right side. So we have everything we need, but when Prabhupada saw that we weren't taking advantage of it, then he would be, what can we say, less than pleased, less than, let's just leave it there. But he wanted us to, and he himself would read them with great pleasure. This Krishna book, everyone knows, he would sit in the garden in Los Angeles and just listen to the Krishna book, absorbed. That incident is there in New Vrindavan on Janmashtami, where Prabhupada, in the evening, everyone's gathered in the temple, and Prabhupada has us read Krishna book, the Krishna's appearance, and up through the prayers by the demigods, and everyone's falling asleep. First of all, everybody's crowded into a room. Yeah, everyone's fasting for the day. 3 chapters.
Now I think you're getting impatient.
Now I think you're getting a little sleepy, Prabhupada said, because the room's like smaller than this, I think, and everybody who could possibly wanted to be in the room with Prabhupada. And then once they were in the room with Prabhupada, it was so stuffy, and people are, even the windows, there are devotees peering in the windows, you're not getting any air from there. And I'm sure that those who were in, many were wishing they were out. And I was a brahmachari, but the sannyasis are sitting up front with their dandas, and you can see the dandas going like dowsing rods, you know. But I appreciate how much taste you have, Vaisesika Prabhu, just for reading Śrīla Prabhupāda's books. You, Keshav Bharati Maharaj, how you get together in Vrindavan at Govardhan and just read straight through. Just read and like, what else do we have to do? Just read and read and read, and not distract our attention to other things that are supposed to be important. Just read and read, because there's such, everything is there. Anand is there, Gyan is there, Shakti is there, everything is there.
It's like swimming in an ocean of bliss.
It's like swimming in an ocean of bliss. And by your association, others get that taste. They come and they, all right, let us read. Let us read. Is that a question there? The microphone seems to be doing something. Oh, put your microphone.
Maharaj, with just one Bible, Christianity was spread almost 2 billion people, followed by 2 billion people, and
What's followed by 2 billion people?
Christianity.
Christianity.
And then
I'm not sure it's followed by 2 billion people, but there's...
and Islam also 2 billion people with just one Quran.
Yes.
And did Śrīla Prabhupāda comment on we will overtake both of them because we have printed so many books in English? Did he ever say anything about that?
I don't recall him saying something about overtaking, his books. But we have so many books. They have one book. We have so many books. I didn't take it that he was speaking about the books he'd written, but there's so many books of Mahaprabhu's followers. Chaitanya literature. Prabhupada said at one point that there's so much Chaitanya literature we could translate. Chaitanya Bhagavad, Chaitanya Mangal, so much Chaitanya literature. In fairness, they also have commentaries and sub-commentaries on their books. I think we don't want to puff ourselves up. We've got all the books, and Islam has one, Christianity has one. They have libraries. Because even, they study their books and they discuss. It's not unique to us. But Prabhupada one time said that we should know Bhagavad Gita the way that Christians know their Bible. You meet a Christian preacher, and in Mark 4:12 it said, and in John 1:7, and they've got their texts together. Prabhupada said we should know Bhagavad Gita like that. We should know Bhagavad Gita like that. And they have so many books, but it's not just numericals. Look at what's in these books. Even Bhagavad Gita, there's we were discussing yesterday, who was discussing that they're discussing with some priest, and he said, I don't accept reincarnation. Was that you, Jayadvaita? He said, I don't accept reincarnation. But there's, of course, different arguments that could be given. But in the Bible, there's one place where the disciples, there's a man born blind, and Jesus cures his blindness. But before the cure, or after, I forget which, the disciples asked Jesus, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Who sinned, this man or his parents? Well, his parents, you could understand. If the parents had sinned, they might get a blind child. But when could the man have sinned? He was born blind. So it's implicit in the question that there must have been some time that he existed before his birth when he could have done something sinful. And Jesus doesn't comment. He doesn't. This would have been, if you were looking for like a softball pitch, an easy pitch to hit, that would have been it. You fools, where have you gotten this crazy notion that the man himself could have sinned? This is heretical or just foolish or displeasing to God or what have you. And he doesn't at all. He takes it in a different direction. He says basically it was a setup. It was arranged so that I could show something. But the reason I bring it up is just because that's as far as it goes. There's like a little hint someplace that there could have been maybe something before, and Jesus didn't say no, but where's the information? Where the soul was beforehand, if he existed beforehand, if so, where? It's just not there. And then afterwards, that point, I think you brought up that to the minister who was saying that, some like little child maybe does something sinful, and then he dies, and then he goes to hell forever. Tough luck. So we understand there's sin, and there's piety, and there's surrender to God, and there's disobedience to God, but there's not a whole lot to work with there in terms of details of where we are before, where we are after, how this all works. There is the idea of surrender to God. There's the idea of God's mercy. There's, we respect all the divine instructions that are there for people's benefit. But there's not much to chew on. And just Bhagavad Gita, which is our beginning book, deals with these things in such great detail. And therefore Prabhupada said, it's not a question of my religion, your religion. This is knowledge. If you may be Christian, you may be Muslim, you may be something else, but this is knowledge. You can take advantage of it. No one says this is Hindu gold, I won't take it. Gold is gold. So we're not just sectarian competitors. They've got 6 million, we only have 2 million, we have to get to 2.5 million. We're giving knowledge for everyone. We're giving knowledge. We're happy to see numbers of Krishna devotees increasing, of course, but we're giving knowledge for everyone. Prabhupada said, you'll become a better Christian, you'll become a better Muslim. Is that okay?
Since you brought up numbers, Maharaj, And since we believe in the words of great devotees, and since we have a desire to increase the numbers of books that we distribute here and globally, we had an idea and a goal of distributing at least 108,000 sets of Bhagavatams in 1 year as a baseline.
Wow.
And several years ago, when we here at ISV, in a previous life at ISV in another temple, we had discussions about getting our community to 500 sets of books, and it seemed a far distant dream and aspiration for us, but somehow the devotees here had far surpassed that, and in the world, what seemed impossible to get to 10,000 then, even during the pandemic, especially then, we increased more than ever before. And we still have these ideas about getting to ever higher levels of distribution. First, if you would approve that sort of enthusiasm, and if you could give us an audible blessing that we might not just reach, but smash our goals, we would deeply appreciate it.
Tomarich Jabalavan. Your desire is very powerful. And I think by your desire, we'll see these numbers increasing, surpassing numbers that we can't even, the mathematicians will start working with, what do they call those? Exponents. It's still, the numbers will be too long to write just ones and zeros. You'll have to have the exponents too. As they say, book distribution can increase exponentially. So yes. And if Prabhupada could be on the Jayadvaita and thinking, as he was thinking, every town, every village, to the rivers, so where's the limit on the distribution of Śrīla Prabhupāda's books?
Maharaja, I have one last question.
I just want to add, and then and then following up with the people who've gotten Prabhupada's books, because that's we tend to have like the time bomb metaphor. That's our governing metaphor for book distribution. We lob it over the wall, and sooner or later, and it does. We've seen it. That somebody's grandfather got a book, and then the grandson reads it, and everything changes. But there's also something to be said for knowing who got those books and cultivating a relationship with those people so that they can come closer and closer and closer to Krishna. So that their reading becomes still more fruitful, that they get to read in the association of devotees, and otherwise, if they're fortunate, they may go looking, but better for us to be looking for them, or to know them, to have their some connection with them, and then to be able to, and then they become the next book distributors, and that helps you reach those numbers. The people who distribute the books and whose lives are changed by those books become the next people to distribute the books to the next people, who then, and so on. Yes, you had another question or comment.
When you somehow come across a Kamadhenu, it's hard to let the Kamadhenu go. So my apologies. I'm a Kamadhenu. I'm just a cow that's full of material desires.
but go ahead.
The devotees here have ingeniously come together, in my opinion, in ways of forming groups and goals for memorizing verses. And to give some, if you could give some context about things Prabhupada said or did or indicated about the importance of knowing the Shastra, but very specifically in memorizing verses. I know you do it every day.
Yeah.
And could you
I
give
follow
some
you,
encouragement?
actually. Well, verses. We saw that Prabhupada's way of preaching was basically verse-based. When he gives a Bhagavatam lecture, he's got a verse, and he's expounding on that verse. In the course of expounding on the verse, he quotes a verse, and then he expounds on that verse, and that's how it goes for the lecture. Caitanya Mahāprabhu also, it's verses and verses and verses. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj, and you really see it, Caitanya Mahāprabhu, there's a verse, and then the verse becomes a chapter. Caitanya Mahāprabhu, and then he says, well, I'm a madman, so I'm going on in this way. Because there's so much in the verse to be unpacked, as they say. The verse, every word, every syllable is unlimited because the sound is not different from Krishna. So much is there in the Atmaramas Chamuniyo, the 64 explanations. And then he says to Sanatana Goswami, oh, just by your association, I just thought of another meaning. So there's no end to it. And we saw that Prabhupada, even you'd be with Prabhupada or walking or sometime, and Prabhupada would just, like under his breath, he would say something, Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam. You know, the verse would be in his mind, not apropos of anything. He just says something. So so the verses were there so much. I was reading a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day, just the Sanskrit. Prabhupada said just the verses themselves, just the Sanskrit, have potency. Therefore, he wanted us, as we do in the Bhagavatam class, chanting the verses several times, because the sound itself has potency. So I was reading a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verses, just the Sanskrit every day, chapter 1, and chapter 2, chapter 3. But then I saw that you were chanting one chapter for like a week or a month, so now I've adopted that. I'm following your system. It was better. The BBT has published Bhagavad Gita in this little book which I keep with me everywhere. It's only the transliterations. There's many times we hear devotees, could the BBT publish just the transliterations and or just the verses? Could you do an edition, just the verses? And the answer is no, because Prabhupada didn't want it. Not that you just have the translations, the purports are so important. So he was totally against our publishing translations only. I know I've seen such editions, just the translations, but it was against what Prabhupada told us to do. Many times, you know, there were always people who were knocking on our door, could you? And Prabhupada said no. So here we haven't transgressed the order. There are no translations at all. It's just the verses. But this book is hard to get. If you know Devanagari or any other Indian language, you can get the Gita Press editions where there's just the verses, or so little more than the verses that you can skip the other stuff and take advantage of it. But this is one that we have for those who are used to Roman alphabets. So it's the whole Bhagavad Gita, and if you have it with you, then you're ready, like that Christian preacher to say, well, here, because it's so much easier to find a verse when there's only this much. And my experience also is, I'm looking for a verse, and then I pick up the book, and then I get the verse. I don't even have to open it. Really, I don't know how that works, but you pick up the book, and then you remember that verse you couldn't remember. I'm in discussion. My disciple Pradyumna in the UK I asked him to see about getting this book republished. I started a little publishing house for publishing my books, and I said to him, well, you could publish this book because it's hard to get. They publish a limited number and then they're gone. So I said, you can make it this the next project, publish this, or go to the BBT and ask them to publish it, and we'll. So now he's, from what I hear in England, they're enthusiastic to publish, a lot, a larger run, a decent run of this book, and then get it and just keep it with you, and if you get a little time. I'm a bad person to talk about how do you remember the verses and how do you remember the instructions. My method was very simple. I just edited the books. So that, kept my nose in the books all the time. But you're not going to do that. If you're a translator, if you're going to translate books into Chinese or into some other language, great, then you'll be absorbed that way. Otherwise, talk to someone else who's got a good system, because I just went that way. And yes, I do I want to be in your Chad club.
Maharaj, we're all in your Chad club. I am, and you're the example, the predecessor. As I've told you several times, the first picture I ever saw indicating the Krishna conscious movement was Lord Chaitanya on the cover of the Back to Godhead. The next one was Prabhupada, and the next one was you. And I have that emblazoned on my consciousness as the iconic figure of what I always wanted to be. So we're deeply grateful to you for being the example of a disciple who adheres to the mood and method of spiritual master, presents it so that generations can see what it's like to be in the parampara. We're very grateful that you keep us in mind, if you would keep us in mind, and please keep sending blessings. And Nirkula pointed out that you did mention that you could give a 2-week course on reading Prabhupada's books. So we might have that to look forward to. And we're all praying to have your association again. We'll follow up with everything you said here today, and please come back.
It's your kindness. When I was younger, I kind of thought that I was pretty good. I was the editor, and I was deep in the books, and I knew a lot, and I was one of the leading devotees in understanding the philosophy and all that. Now, at this point, so I used to take pleasure in that. Now I have to take pleasure in how many devotees have surpassed me, and by how much. It's so, I'm so much in awe when I see your standard of devotional service, Vaisesika Prabhu. So I'm... Yeah. And Nirakula Machaji.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out this morning. We're deeply grateful to His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj and to His Grace Saṅkīrtana Dasa Prabhu, worldwide preacher and innovator in spreading Krishna consciousness. Thank you for all that you do and for your example of great determination and for decades of service to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Please, everyone, let's thank both of these exalted Vaishnavas for coming here to give us their association, painstakingly traveling around the world and stopping in here. One more time, please. Hare Krishna. I suppose that calls for an encore. Now, Maharaj, we have a couple of announcements to make. We have devotees to feed, and is there a presentation this morning also? Now, what follows the morning Bhagavatam class is a brief presentation by one of the students in our academy who is studying Krishna conscious philosophy. So we'll welcome them, and just after that we'll have a couple brief announcements and then prasadam for everybody in Santa Clara County. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you to His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami, His Grace Saṅkīrtana Prabhu, for enlivening us this morning with their presence. It is our great blessing to have advanced devotees come to us, thanks to His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu and Her Grace Nirakala Mataji for facilitating bringing such advanced devotees and give us their wisdom, their association, and insights, their realizations over the years and years and decades of practicing Krishna consciousness. And of course, our deep gratitude to Śrīla Prabhupāda for creating the Krishna consciousness movement, especially starting in the West, and bringing to us this knowledge, this wisdom, which is extremely rare and something that once it transforms a devotee, makes one a devotional, having a devotional attitude, that doesn't change. That is the strength of this movement, and that is the strength of Śrīla Prabhupāda's purity of purpose, that once one understands the depth of Krishna consciousness, you don't want to leave. This Krishna has been given to us. Krishna, as Prabhupada has also given in his wonderful poem that Maharaja so nicely gave us and enlightened us about. In that mode of service to devotees and to Śrīla Prabhupada, to Parampara, and Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Mahaprabhu, Lakshmi Narasimhadev, we have a small endeavor in our community to encourage the youth to present on spiritual topics. And this year, we are starting off with a book called Secrets of Bhakti by His Grace Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. That's our curriculum book for these presentations. Today's topic is how to cultivate spiritual relationships. And it's going to be presented by Aradhya.
Hare Krishna. My name is Aradhya, and today I'll be presenting on the topic How to Cultivate Spiritual Relationships from the book Secrets of Bhakti by Gauranga Darshan Das. Today I'll be covering the topics: Does spirituality arrest relationships, relationships with worldly people, spiritual discrimination for sustainable relationships, spiritual discussions for sustainable relationships, and commonality and uniqueness. Does spirituality arrest relationships? As humans, we have the desire to love and to be loved. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is unhappy without his devotees. We are part and parcel of the Lord, and we have an eternal relationship with him and his children. But how many people actually realize that and take action? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj says that a devotee is friendly to all living beings and doesn't consider anyone as their enemy. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.19.16, Punascha bhuyat bhagavati anante rati prasangascha tadva ashrayeshu mahatsuyamyam upayami shishtim maitriyastu sarvatra namodvijebhya. Translation. Again, offering obeisances to all you brahmanas, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attraction to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relationships with all living beings. Relationships with worldly people. Devotees never look down upon others. They pray for their well-being. Just like Yudhishthira Maharaj, who never hated Duryodhana, and Prahlad Maharaj, who always loved his father, even though he tried to kill him, and he still prayed for his liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.46. Ishvare taladineshu balisheshu dvisatsucha prema maitri kripo peksha yakaroti samadhyama. Translation. An intermediate or second-class devotee called Madhyama Adhikari offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to the ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Spiritual discrimination for suitable relationships. Just because we have to be friendly to all living beings doesn't mean we should go and befriend an unrighteous person. It's okay to have worldly relationships, but we shouldn't allow them to diminish our own bhakti. For example, we avoid someone with a disease because we don't want to pick up their disease, not because we hate them. Similarly, we should maintain worldly relationships, but we shouldn't allow them to diminish our own bhakti. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 22.87. Asat Sangha Tyaga E Vaishnava Achara Stri Sangi Eka Asadu Krishna Bhakta Ara. Translation. A Vaishnava should always avoid the association of ordinary people. Common people are very much material attached, especially to a woman. Vaishnavas should also avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna. Spiritual discussions for sustainable relationships. Discussing Krishna Katha with other devotees doubles our own devotion. Bhagavad Gita 10.9. Machita matkata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Translation. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening each other about and conversing about me. Commonality and uniqueness. When devotees quarrel, the Lord becomes very unhappy. But when devotees share loving relationships, the Lord becomes very pleased. Devotees may have different opinions, working styles, or natures, but they all have one common goal, which is to serve the Lord. The Pandavas are one great example of this. The Pandavas were all completely different, but they maintained a strong bond because they kept Krishna as their main focus. Similarly, if we keep Krishna in the center, we can respect other devotees and also be our own unique person. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Aradhya, thank you very much. You held forth in a very powerful and determined way. And I liked your presentation, especially because you, as Maharaja even mentioned this morning during his class, was verse-based. You went from one verse to the next. I noticed also, when I was watching your eyes, that some of the verses you had already memorized, like Machita Magata Prana, correct? And I had a question for you when you mentioned the ways in which one might respect people but be wary of associating with certain kinds of people because of perhaps picking up their bad habits, and you gave the analogy of if somebody's sick, then it's not that you disrespect them, you just try to avoid getting the disease from them. In your life, do you have any experience, since you're in a devotee family, of associating with people and being careful whom you associate with at school or other places?
Yeah.
Is it an issue in your life that you've noticed so far?
Yeah, there's like a lot of kinds of people at my school, and I like to like observe them before I like interact with them or like be friends with them.
Thank you very much. Thanks for presenting. I think you have a great future in giving classes and oratory in general. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Just thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you for the encouragement. Any quick questions or comments from the audience? Any others? Okay. Thank you so much. I think we will stop here. I just want to appreciate Aradhya's from a very wonderful devotee family. Parents are, mother is always there engaging in decoration for the festivals, and her dad, Prabhu, is very supportive of the saṅkīrtana movement, always available to bring and carry books from one location to the other. So among the many, many services that they do. So thank you, Aradhya, for wonderfully presenting and representing your parents and their mode, and also very sincerely studying in our Sunday school.
Now we have a couple of announcements, starting with Bhakti Community.
Thank you for the opportunity. Bhakti Community is a community for follow-up programs. As Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj was saying today, it's very important that when we give books, we connect them to a devotee for follow-up so that they don't feel lost and they don't just keep the book in the shelf and wait for their grandchildren to read it. We want them to actually read. There's something that they thought before they decided to take that book from us. It's very, very important to connect to them. Yesterday we had a great program. Jayadvaita Swami was there, and we had a lot of newcomers. There was one newcomer who came, actually, Vijay Prabhu distributed the books to them, and those people, they just live next to our, like next lane to our home, and we had no idea about them. Vijay Prabhu told them, join to this program, and they asked us if we are serving vegan food, and I was so happy to tell them, yes, we are serving vegan food, and I gave them the whole menu, and they were so ecstatic. But then they said, do you have salt in this food? I said, yes, I have salt in every food. They said, they don't eat salt. So that much how people are austere. I was like, really? You don't eat salt? I said, I have salt in everything. Then I made a separate special salad for them, a lot of cucumbers and grapefruit and the salad leaves. And they were so happy that we could take. And they had very deep questions. So I was really surprised that people are there. We think that what we are doing is very austere. If people can live without salt, there are more people who are austere than us. So we are the right community for them. They were very happy. I was really like working hard to make them happy, and they were very happy with that. And a lot of devotees were there. We need more help. We need more help to engage with the newcomers. So if you feel inspired to engage with the newcomers, talk with them when they come, read Bhagavatam with them, read Bhagavad Gita with them. This is the community to join. So please don't forget bhakticommunity.com. Hari Bol.
And now we'll hear from Malini Devi Dasi from Team ISV Book Distribution. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have had a almost 3-month-long marathon of distributing Bhagavad Gitas and other books. and our goal is to distribute at least 79,000 Bhagavad Gitas. And that last day is, I would say, today. Today is the last day. We are going to compile all the scores and make an offering to Śrīla Prabhupāda tomorrow. So if you haven't had a chance to distribute at least one Bhagavad Gita so far, we have teams going out to every single location throughout the Bay Area, so you can join us, and we'll be very happy to provide you all that you need to distribute a Bhagavad Gita. I just wanted to share that last week was January, during the January 1st, the day of January 1st, we saw a big surge in people wanting to take something which is spiritual. And we were wondering why. It seems there is a sentiment that whatever you do on January 1st, it continues throughout the year. So they want to take spiritual knowledge. So we were distributing books in a parking lot, and there was one lady, it seems she's an entrepreneur. She does vegan products. She has offices here in Bay Area, and then she has also started a new product line in India. And we had no idea who she was when we started talking to her. And we presented Srimad Bhagavatam, and then she was so happy just to see the Bhagavatam. And she reads Bhagavatam already in a different way. And we said, would you like to take a set? And she said, yes, I can take a set. And she said, is there any service that I can do for you for giving a Bhagavatam set? We said, yeah, if you like, we take donations. And it costs about $250 to ship and print. Anything over you can give. And she was opening her wallet, and there were only $100 notes in there, all of them. And then she was opening, she did 1, she did 2, she did 3, she did 4, she did 5. And she said, is this okay if I give you this much? And we were so grateful that you wanted to give. So she gave $500. She took the contact information, and she said, I will come by and visit your temple sometime. So we don't know when we go out. We actually went to distribute Bhagavad Gitas, but then we found someone who wanted to Srimad Bhagavatam. And there was another person said that we gave them a Bhagavad Gita, and he was saying I never expected that I will get a Bhagavad Gita on the New Year's Day. He was so happy, and then initially he was only going to give $5 donation, and because he only had $5 cash, and his wife actually stopped him. He said, you cannot just give only $5. And she said, do you take cards? Yes, and give him $25 donation. So people are nice. They want to give, they wanted to take the knowledge. All we have to do is just show up and try to distribute with sincerity, and Krishna will empower all the devotees who go out. So please join us. Today is the last day, the very, very last day. So please join us. And our youth also, I heard that they went out on the youth yatra, and they mentioned that the first day of the youth yatra, they were in Visakhapatnam, and they distributed books. In one day, they actually distributed books and collected Lakshmi worth the entire previous yatra, just in one day. And they became so enthusiastic, and they said, we all want to go out, we want to distribute mercy of Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So youth, we also have a lot of spots for you if you would like to go. The whole Bay Area is open. Please let us know where you want to join. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Tomorrow is the reading of the scores, not just for the marathon, but for the whole year, right? So that's a big event. What time will that take place? 4:40. So 4:40, if anybody's listening, that's the big presentation to Prabhupada to be here for. If you've missed any of the previous ones, it's kind of like the Ekadashi. When you fast on that one, you can make up for the other ones. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow. And also, after today, we start the Be a Gardener campaign. So you can meditate tonight and then while you're sleeping, dream about distributing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hare Krishna. Sharira Dvijaja Jodendriya Tahika Jibe Bele Vishaya Shagare Tarmaje Jivayati Loba Moisu Durmati Take Jeta Katita Shangshare Krishna Bodha Doya Moy Gori Bare Chivajai Shaprashadana Dilobai Shayanamrita Pau Radha Krishna Gunagau Premedako Shri Caitanya Ditai Premedako Shri Caitanya Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sopa Punya Vatam Rajan Vishwaso Navajayate Prasade Sarva Dukhanam Haniraso Pujayate Prasanna Chetaso Yashu Buddhipaya Bhatista Tvayo Prabhukta Sraganda Vasavankara Charchitaha Chishta Bojino Dasa Stavamayam Jayemahi Shuksham Prayushitam Vapi Nityam Vadura Deshata Prapti Matrena Bhoktavyam Natrakala Vicharana Nadesha Niyamastatra Kalaniya Mastatra Praptamanam Drutam Shishta Bhoktarim Hari Abravi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasariki Gaura Premanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Please come take prasadam. Hare Krishna. Prasadam will be served in the picnic area. Go out this door, take a sharp right. Am I correct? And it'll be available to everyone. Vancha kalpadurvascha kripasanaveva patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnaviniki Jai.